Is this it? Is this the phone that finally puts all the pieces together? Or is it a masterpiece riddled with compromises? The Honor Magic7 Pro has landed on the global stage, and it's carrying some serious firepower. We're talking a colossal 200-megapixel telephoto camera, the absolute latest Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, and a screen so bright it could challenge the sun. But there's a catch. A significant one, especially if you're watching this from Europe. And that's not the only secret this flagship is hiding. We are going on a deep dive into the Honor Magic7 Pro. We will push that controversial camera system to its absolute limits, we will see if the brand new Snapdragon chip can handle the heat, and we will answer the biggest question of all: is its smaller battery a fatal flaw? So get comfortable, we're going to explore every angle of this phone, from its unboxing to its performance under pressure. And make sure you stick around to the camera chapter, because I'm going to reveal a simple but powerful trick that can dramatically improve your zoom photos. A secret that Honor themselves won't tell you. Let's get into it. It all starts with the box, and in 2025, that experience is becoming more minimalist. If you're in Europe, lifting the lid reveals the Magic7 Pro itself and a USB-C cable. That's it, no charging brick, no protective case. It's a trend we've seen across the industry, but it's something to be aware of. You'll need to bring your own charger to the party. But let's talk about the phone itself. The moment you pick it up, you feel that flagship quality. Honor has refined last year's design. The curves are a little straighter, the aluminum frame feels more substantial in your hand, and the iconic camera island on the back has evolved. It's less of a sharp squircle and more of a soft, circular cushion. It's a look that feels fresh and distinctly Honor. Our unit is the Lunar Shadow Gray, and it's more than just a color. There's a subtle texture under the glass back that evokes the surface of the moon. It's a beautiful, silky matte finish that feels fantastic, but be warned, it is as slippery as it is stunning. You might want a case for grip, even if it hides the design. If gray isn't your style, there's also a breeze blue and a classic black. Up front, you can't miss that pill-shaped cutout. Some people love it, some don't. But it's a perfect example of form-following function. It's not just there for looks. It houses the 50-megapixel selfie camera and a sophisticated TOF 3D depth sensor. This isn't just any face unlock. It's a secure, 3D mapping of your face that works incredibly well, day or night. It's a level of security many Android phones have simply given up on. And for those who prefer fingerprints, Honor has made a welcome upgrade. They've switched from an optical sensor to an ultrasonic one. In simple terms, this means it's more reliable when your fingers are a bit wet or dirty. It's faster to set up, and you don't get that bright flash of light every time you unlock your phone in the dark. It's a small but meaningful quality of life improvement. Finally, let's talk toughness. The front is protected by Honor's own nanocrystal shield glass, which they claim has 10 times the drop resistance of regular glass. The frame is sturdy aluminum, and the whole package is sealed up with an IP68 and even an IP69 rating. What does that mean? Well, IP68 means it can survive being submerged in up to 1.5 meters of water for 30 minutes. The IP69 rating is the interesting part. It means the phone is also protected against high-pressure, high-temperature water jets. Does this mean you should pressure wash your phone? Absolutely not. But it does mean this device is built to withstand the elements and accidents of daily life better than almost any other phone on the market. A great phone needs a great screen, and the Magic7 Pro delivers one of the best displays you can find today. We're looking at a huge 6.8-inch LTPOOLED panel. It's a mouthful, I know, but it translates to an incredible viewing experience. The resolution is a super sharp 1280 by 2800 pixels, making text crisp and images incredibly detailed. It's an LTPO display, which allows for an adaptive refresh rate that can intelligently switch all the way from a buttery smooth 120 Hz when you're scrolling, right down to a power-sipping 1 Hz for the always-on display. This is what gives you a screen that feels responsive without destroying your battery life. And then there's the brightness. Honor claims a mind-boggling peak of 5,000 nits. You won't see this across the whole screen, but it allows for incredibly bright, impactful highlights and HDR content that makes movies and photos pop in a way that feels truly next generation. In regular use, it hits around 1,500 nits with auto brightness on, which is more than enough to stay perfectly visible even on the sunniest of days. For all you movie lovers and YouTube bingers, the Magic 7 Pro supports all the major HDR formats, including Dolby Vision and HDR10+. Netflix and YouTube stream in glorious HDR, making this a portable cinema powerhouse. However, it's not absolutely perfect. While the adaptive refresh rate is great for most things, we found that some popular games were still capped at 60 Hz, not taking full advantage of that 120 Hz panel. And while it supports HDR video, it doesn't yet support Google's new Ultra HDR standard for photos, meaning you won't see that extra pop in your Google Photos gallery. These are small nitpicks on an otherwise stellar display, but they are worth noting. Under the hood, the Magic 7 Pro is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite. This is the top-tier chip for Android flagships in 2025, an octa-core beast designed for maximum performance. Paired with 12 GB of fast RAM and 512 GB of UFS 4.0 storage in the global version, this phone is built for speed. For everyday tasks, opening apps, scrolling through social media, multitasking, the Magic 7 Pro is flawless. It's incredibly fast, smooth, and responsive. In short burst benchmarks like Geekbench and Antutu, it scores near the top of the charts, outperforming many of its rivals. This thing absolutely flies. But what happens when you push it? When you put it under sustained, heavy load, like a 30-minute hardcore gaming session? This is where the story gets a bit more complicated. In our CPU stress tests, the phone performed surprisingly well, maintaining 86% of its peak performance over an hour, which is excellent for a flagship. This means for processor-intensive tasks, it holds up well. However, the GPU, the part of the chip responsible for graphics and gaming, tells a different story. In the demanding 3D Mark Wildlife stress test, the Magic 7 Pro struggled. It consistently overheated and was unable to complete the full 20-minute test. This indicates that while the phone has immense graphical power, it can't sustain that peak performance for long periods before it has to throttle down to manage heat. What does this mean for you? If you're a casual gamer, you'll likely never notice. The phone will handle any game you throw at it with ease. But if you are a competitive, hardcore mobile gamer who plays graphically intense titles for long sessions, this thermal throttling is a potential concern. The phone prioritizes a slim design over the more robust cooling systems found in dedicated gaming phones. All right, let's address the elephant in the room: the battery. This is perhaps the most controversial decision Honor has made with the Magic 7 Pro. Inside the models sold in China and some other regions, you'll find a large 5,850 mAh battery. But for some reason, the version sold in Europe gets a smaller, 5,270 mAh battery. Not only is this a downgrade from its own predecessor, the Magic 6 Pro, but it's also smaller than virtually all of its direct competitors in 2025. It's a strange choice that puts the European model at an immediate disadvantage. So how does it hold up in the real world? Surprisingly, it's not a complete disaster. Thanks to the power-efficient Snapdragon chip and the LTPO display, the phone is reasonably frugal. It managed an impressive 9 hours in our gaming test. However, it falls behind the curve in video playback at under 15 hours and web browse at just over 13 hours. The final verdict on battery life is that it's fine. It's an all-day phone for most people with moderate use, but it's certainly not a two-day champion. It does a decent job with the capacity it has, but there's no escaping the fact that it has less fuel in the tank than its rivals. But where Honor takes with one hand, it gives with the other. The silver lining is the charging speed. The Magic 7 Pro supports blazing fast 100W wired charging. Using a compatible charger, we went from 0 to 51% in just 15 minutes, and a full charge took only 36 minutes. That is incredibly fast. And here's a pro tip: you don't actually need a 100W brick. The phone rarely pulls that much power. We found that any good quality 65W USB PD charger will give you virtually the same top-tier charging speeds. It also supports incredibly fast 80W wireless charging with Honor's proprietary stand and comes packed with smart charging features to protect the long-term health of your battery. You can limit the charge to 80% or 90% overnight, which is a fantastic feature for extending its lifespan. This is the main event, the reason many of you are watching. The camera system. On paper, it's a beast. A 50-megapixel main camera with a variable f/1.4 f/2.0 aperture. A 50-megapixel ultrawide. And the star of the show, a massive 1/1.4-inch 200-megapixel periscope telephoto lens. Let's break it down camera by camera. The 50 megapixels main camera. In daylight, this camera is a fantastic, reliable shooter. It produces images that are vibrant, but not overly saturated. The dynamic range is excellent, capturing plenty of detail in both the bright highlights and dark shadows. Detail is sharp, and skin tones look natural and pleasing. The 2x zoom, which is a crop from the main sensor, is also clean and very usable. In low light, it continues to be a competent performer, delivering bright images with good color and dynamic range, though some fine details can get a little soft. The 50 megapixels ultra-wide camera, the Ultrawide, is also a strong performer in daylight. It captures expansive shots with great detail and pleasing colors that match the main camera well. It's perfect for landscapes and large group shots. At night, it holds up reasonably well, maintaining good color and exposure. But fine details suffer, and images can become quite soft, which is typical for most ultra-wide cameras. The 200 megapixels telephoto, hype versus reality, and now the 200 megapixel telephoto. This is where things get really interesting. Honor markets this as a 3x optical zoom, but the truth is more complicated. The native focal length of the lens is closer to 2.5x. To get to the advertised 3x magnification, the phone is performing a slight digital crop and then upscaling the image back to 12.5 megapixels. The result? The standard 3x photos are good, but they lack that critical sharpness and fine detail you might expect. They can look a bit soft and overly processed upon close inspection. And now for that secret I promised you. Don't use the default 3x mode for your most important shots. Instead, switch to the high-res mode and capture a full 200 megapixel image. This will give you the native 2.5x field of view. Then, in your gallery or a simple editing app, resize that massive 200 megapixels file down to 12.5 megapixels. The result is a 2.5x zoom shot that is dramatically sharper, cleaner, and more detailed than the phone's default 3x photo. It's an extra step, but the improvement in quality is undeniable. It unlocks the true potential of this massive sensor. Interestingly, the 6x zoom shots, which use more of that sensor data, often look better and more detailed than the 3x shots. And the telephoto's close focusing ability is a fantastic bonus, allowing for some stunning macro shots. The selfie camera. Best in class? Let's not forget the front. The 50 megapixel autofocusing selfie camera is, without exaggeration, superb. It might just be one of the best selfie cameras on any smartphone today. The level of detail is incredible, colors are lifelike, dynamic range is excellent, and the autofocus means your face is always sharp, whether you're taking a close-up or a group shot. Video recording. The Magic7 Pro can shoot 4K video at up to 60 frames per second on all of its cameras, front and back. The footage looks great, with excellent colors and fantastic electronic image stabilization that keeps things smooth. Detail is generally good, though like many phones, it can look a little overprocessed at times. Overall, it's a very competent and versatile video system. So after all of that, what's the final word on the Honor Magic7 Pro? With a launch price around 1,300 euros, it's playing in the big leagues, and it needs to justify that cost. This phone does so many things right. The design is elegant and the build quality is top tier. The display is a joy to look at. The charging is phenomenally fast. The speakers are some of the loudest and fullest you'll find on a phone. And that combination of a superb selfie camera and a secure 3D face unlock is a genuinely rare and valuable feature in the Android world. Plus, a promise of 7 years of software updates is a huge commitment to longevity, but it's not a perfect phone. The decision to put a smaller battery in the European model is a baffling and significant compromise. The sustained gaming performance is a concern for serious players. And while the camera hardware is powerful, the default processing for the telephoto lens feels like a missed opportunity, forcing you to use workarounds to get the best results. It's also not a massive generational leap over the excellent and now cheaper Magic 6 Pro. So who is this phone for? If you value a premium design, one of the best selfie cameras money can buy, the security of 3D face unlock, and you love a bright, beautiful screen for media, the Magic 7 Pro makes a powerful argument. However, if your absolute top priorities are the longest possible battery life, peak sustained gaming performance, or the very best out-of-the-box zoom photography, you might find that the competition has an edge. The Honor Magic7 Pro is a phone brimming with potential and packed with truly excellent features. It's a fantastic flagship that gets so close to being the perfect all-rounder, but it's held back by a few key compromises. It has the magic, but you just have to decide if its specific brand of magic is the right formula for you. That's the full, detailed story on the Honor Magic 7 Pro. I'm curious to hear what you think about it, especially that battery situation. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.